Welcome to Unbounded with Trina, episode 2. So glad you're here joining us again this week. And I have an amazing guest with me this week, Rania, and I will introduce her shortly. But I just want to remind you guys the beauty of Unbounded with Trina is here to encourage you that you can live into your power to create your most amazing life. And what that means is unbounded, being free of all limitations, free of all the things that are holding you back. And that's the beauty of our guest today is that she knows all about overcoming challenges, rebuilding life. So let me introduce Rania. Rania is founder of R2R Coaching. She is joining us all the way from Canada. I'm down in Charlotte, North Carolina. So we're so excited to get a taste and flavor of the Canadian life that she can share with us today. And she's a certified relationship coach, a Reiki practitioner, a blogger, and soon to be published author. So congratulations for that. She's certified in alternative healing modalities. Rania's mission is to help women who are in toxic relationships uncover the abuse, heal the trauma, and rebuild their life. Rania is also an aspiring transformational speaker. Her work is a catalyst for transforming women's lives, empowering them to rise above their challenges and become free of debilitating beliefs, ultimately inspiring them to take action towards living a fulfilling, joyful life that every individual deserves. Welcome to Unbounded with Trina. Rania, so glad to have you here.
Thank you, Trina. It's good to be here with you.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the title for today is Candid Conversations from Beyond the Rebuild. And part of the work that you do and the mission that you have is helping and supporting women in rebuilding their lives after trauma, toxic relationships. So, tell us, how did you get into this line of work and why is it so important to you?
Wow. My story is quite long, so I cannot tell the whole story, but I'll say the conclusion of it, let's say. But before I get into my story, I want to connect to your introductory episode on your show when you spoke about being unique
Mm,
and becoming, into your uniqueness, embracing it. So every story is going to be unique. My story is no different. The same way you have a unique story, I have a unique story. It makes us unique and different, but yet the same.
mm,
And as women, we empower each other because we feel each other.
mm,
But let me talk about my story, which in conclusion was I ended up being in a pattern, or let's just say a cycle, of ending up in relationships that were not right for me. And it took me a very bad experience in my very last relationship that I had that opened my eyes that I was being attracted to or attached to narcissists. And
mm,
narcissists are on the top of the list of toxic people, toxic
mm,
relationships dynamics. So it took a lot for me to get to this point. And it's almost like a light bulb that went on, you know and I realized that I had a lot of unhealed trauma myself that I
mm,
never dealt with, that I never saw clearly. But when I did, I just made the pact with myself that I would never end up in this situation again. And after I've been through what I've been through, where I was down to my knees, I had to get back up,
mm,
find a way to do it, heal myself. But in that journey, while I was healing myself and rebuilding my own life, I made it a mission of mine to help women and do this through my line of work. I had already started my relationship coaching practice, but it was more on a general scale where I help couples
mm,
reconnect and individuals who are struggling with their self confidence and whatnot. But then I pivoted in my practice of coaching and decided that I would focus and concentrate on the toxic relationship dynamic, because that's what I experienced. And this
Mm.
is where I can be best of assistance to those. It's not in vain that I went through what I went through. There is a reason why I went through what I went through. And when I sat down with myself and had to come to an awareness and a realization that this was my calling all along. I
Mm.
just didn't know it. I didn't listen to that inner voice because I was after fulfilling my dream. I wanted to fulfill whatever it is I thought would make me happy. And we can talk about that more later. But just to let you have a clear picture of, I come from a background where I'm supposed to get married, have kids, have the happily ever after, and live like this and so on. But then life didn't go down that road. Life took me to a different path, and I had to stop and say, okay, like I'm getting the message here. Okay, God, universe, whatever it is you want to call it, I'm getting it. I'm getting it. I'm supposed to be on a mission here, and I'm supposed to fulfill it. And I embraced it, and here I am.
Wow. We're so happy that you're here and you're on the other side and are in a position that you can to encourage other women that they can do the same if they find themselves in situations that are not serving their life, because there was so much in your story that we can unpack around even the relationship and that and finding one's own vision and mission and being true to that is so powerful as well, that I love to hear. I know I read that you had stepped out sometimes away from the coaching, counseling, gone down other career paths and kept finding yourself coming back here. Tell us a little bit about the journey from trying other things and understanding who you really are and what you want to do and coming back to that place that you know is home for you.
Trina, I would have to start from childhood,
Mhm.
okay?
Mhm.
But it will be brief, I promise.
Okay, okay.
Uh, I haven't said this to many people, but I'm gonna share today with the audience that are watching and listening. There was a point in my childhood where I was getting some sort of a message or a voice in my head, I don't know, or a knowing, let's say, and I did not understand what it was. But there was a repeating message that was coming to me, which was, I'm different,
Mhm.
and I'm not going to be just another person or just another girl in my case that come into this world, go through school, get her degree, get married, have kids, and wait for her time to die.
Mhm.
I had some sort of I don't know, an urge, whatever you want to call it, is that I was going to make a difference into this world somehow, some way, but I didn't know how. And I didn't understand it at that time because, like I said, I was a child. Could have been around the age of 8, 9 when I could kind of comprehend a little bit. But I ignored that voice because, you get conditioned and life takes you in the directions that you're being taught and directed, and culture influences and so forth. But then when I took the step at around the age of 20, let's say, and I rebelled against my family and my culture and
Mhm.
decided to find myself while going down a rabbit hole of making mistake after the other. But in that path is where I realized that there was always more to me than this.
Mhm.
What it was, I didn't know. And like I said, I went from one relationship to the next, toxic patterns, made wrong choices, made amends with my family again, and got lost again in conforming and in wanting to people please and to get acceptance and to feel validated and to get the love that I've been wanting to get.
Mhm.
But then I guess, again, life took me in different directions. I kept on getting signs along the way that I'm meant to do something different, much bigger than I am, much bigger than I can comprehend.
Mhm.
So yeah, I worked in the insurance field for a while, something like totally unrelated. I did sales, customer service, you name it. I worked as a flight attendant for a while, and that was an amazing experience. It truly opened my eyes to a lot of things. It allowed me to see different cultures. It allowed me to meet different people. It allowed me to see the real world out there and not be all caught up in my life here in Canada, where we have our rights, and there is rules and laws to be followed, and there is order. I've been to places where there is no order, where I saw people in poverty, and it broke my heart, but it made me understand, and it made me grateful and blessed for every experience I have ever lived. And I started to more realize that there is a reason why I am seeing all that I'm seeing and witnessing all that I'm witnessing and being in these different industries. It is all to prepare me to be right here, right now, in this position, being a relationship coach, doing everything that I'm doing, writing a book, doing all those things to make that difference that I had no understanding when I was a child, that's what I was leading up to. I was always being drawn to helping people, to being of service. But I just had different ideas about that because I was using my intellect. I thought I would help doing this by the skills that I'm developing, by the whatever situation I'm in. But little did I know that the universe and God had a different plan for me. And now that I am owning it, now that I am accepting it and embracing it, doors are opening to me, opportunities are coming my way for me to fulfill that calling, because that's what was meant for me all along. I just didn't understand it for the longest time. So
Yeah,
I hope that explains things a bit better.
absolutely. What a beautiful story in uncovering that space. I love the way you said that there was a time you were trying to do it from an intellectual, from your logic, from your mind, and that there was a point you reconnected with that intuitive knowing that you started out with when you're 8 or 9 years old, that you knew that there was more. What I found is a lot of times we get the knowing earlier. We don't fully understand it. We go out into the world, we live our life, we do the things, and all of those experiences come back together
Yes.
for today. So if you hadn't taken the steps and learned the lessons and had the mistakes, possibly you wouldn't be as equipped right now to support others. And sometimes we look at our past and say, oh, I made so many mistakes. It's part of living, it's part of growing, it's part of developing. And I would love for our audience to know the importance of not beating ourselves up for the past, or, um, judging and falling into shame and guilt because we haven't lived up to some of the things we've known, because it's not too late. And how would you feel about expounding a little bit on the fact where there are times that you felt like shame or guilt or blaming yourself for the experiences that you had?
Oh, Trina, I'm so glad that you mentioned this and that you brought up the word mistake. I'm glad that you said it.
Mhm.
Um, I've reflected on this word a lot, and I've come to the conclusion that we call it mistake because we understand after the fact that maybe we shouldn't have done that. And if we had done something different, then the outcome would have been different. And that is true. However, in making the so-called mistake, it was something that we needed to do, or made a decision to do, that led us on a path that got us to learn the lesson that we needed to learn had we not made that mistake.
Mhm.
So we call it mistake, but it isn't. I don't believe that we make mistakes. That's me, my personal opinion. I don't believe that we are making any mistake. We're making choices based on the knowledge of what we have right now, the person who we are right now. The knowledge that we have is what makes us think the way we do, feel the way we do, and act the way we do. It is the knowledge that you have right here, right now. So I did the best that I could then with the knowledge I had then. With however life was influencing me, if I had trauma that I never healed, guess what? That was influencing my decisions then too. But now, with the knowledge that I have today, with the experience that I have today, now I'm making the choice. I can still continue down that same path and spiral down again and continue in toxic relationships. It's just that I chose not to. I made a decision to put a stop and an end to it. There are women out there who can't stop. Even they come to a point to see it, but because they're so used to it, they continue down that path. They can't help themselves. They're in the trauma bond. Right? They're justifying it. They're going down the self-blame path, the guilty for like I actually went through that. I mean, you asked me that question and I would like to elaborate on this. When I was in the process of leaving my very last toxic relationship, my ex-narcissist, there was a period of time where I was blaming myself for not seeing the signs. I wasn't blaming myself for what I went through, but I was blaming myself for not being smart enough, for not using my experience of life to be able to catch on the toxic patterns that I already knew. It's not like I didn't know. But there were other factors involved in the scenario that got me in the scenario to begin with. And it's a combination of things. It's not about me being smart or not smart. It's not about me being applying what I learned or not. That's what people are looking at from the outside. They're judging you, and this is where it's coming from. It's the judgment from the outside that causes you to judge yourself. That's how, again, my experience and how I feel. Because I've been working on myself for the longest time, and I understand that we all make choices, and I already come to the conclusion that there's no such thing as a mistake, and I'm always learning as I go. So when I was in this last toxic relationship, which was very, very recent, it's not like I didn't know all those things already. I did. But I was still blinded. I still got fooled. I still fell into the trap. I still justified the toxic behavior and tried to make the relationship work and tried to take on a responsibility to fix him. Because that's what most women in toxic relationships, unfortunately, believe or do. They think it's their duty, their calling. God sent them to do that work, to be a martyr. But we're not meant to be martyrs, and we're nobody's savior, and we shouldn't be anybody's victim.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, I want you to be able to share with the audience what inspired you in the midst of your last toxic relationship to make more empowered choices to get to the point that you could leave, because a lot of people are in it, like you said, and they don't know how to get out, or they don't know how to navigate when they're in it so that they can remain empowered. So I'd love for you to share some inspiration for everyone of what was the trigger for you? What things did you do to empower you to make a choice to get out and be here today to share your story. So we're going to be right back shortly. Hi, I just wanted to come in real quick and share with you guys exciting news about my book, Awareness Put Me On, where I'm in a project with several leaders who have come together to share our stories around how awareness empowered us to move to the next level in our lives. And that book will be released on April 5th. 2024, just a few weeks from now. We're going to have a great celebration in Washington, D.C. And so I'm excited about it. It's my first opportunity to have my voice in written form. And it is an amazing project. So I want to keep communicating with you, sharing with you to look out for it and download it on April 5th. And the print copy will be out later in the month. And just remember how important awareness is. And Rania and I will talk a little bit more about that as she begins to share some of her inspiration and insights of what the triggers around awareness that supported her in making some of her powerful decisions. So just want to pop in, tell you about Awareness Put Me On, April 5th release date, and we're going to get back to Rania so we can hear more about her powerful story. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. All right, Rania, I just shared, you said you are going to, in the midst of being a publishing um, author, and
Yeah.
just shared about my book around awareness. And before we left, I asked you to come back and share with us some things that inspired you. What were the things that got you to a place where you could make some powerful moves in your life? And I'm sure there were some things you became aware of that helped make that happen. So tell us a little bit about that, please.
So I know that you are saying something that inspired, but in my case, it was more a wake-up call.
Mm,
So let me take a deep breath here while I talk about this because this is heavy.
okay.
My grandmother passed away in January of 2022.
Okay.
I was in that toxic relationship at that time. And it took my grieving over her loss to shake me to my core.
Mm,
A part of the reason why I was in that relationship to begin with was to make her happy.
mm,
She wanted to see me get married so badly before she left this earth. And I wanted to make that happen for her. I know now that that was the wrong thing for me to do, but then
mm,
I made that decision to go along with a relationship and a marriage that I should have not done because I saw the signs before. Some, not all the signs, some of it. But I convinced myself that it's going to be okay and I'm going to fix it and I'm going to work on it. And I had to look at the big picture. I'm making my family proud.
mm,
I'm making my family happy because I need to be married because that's what everybody expects me to do. Because I'm supposed to have a family of my own and have children, so I could make my parents, grandparents, they could be happy. Try to make everybody happy. What about me? Now, nobody forced me to get into this. This was my decision. I take full responsibility for the decisions I took to get into this. I do. I don't blame anyone, but I'm explaining to you the circumstances around it that put me there.
mhm.
But yeah, so as I lost my grandmother and I was going through my grieving process, of course, he was there during that tough time.
Mhm.
Front of everybody, he was the angel that everybody was like, oh my God, you're so lucky to have him. Oh my gosh. Little do they know what happens behind closed doors after we are alone. Little do they know what I've been living all that time. I kept my mouth shut for the longest time. I didn't share much with many people. But then there came the time where I had to, because I had to leave this, because I was losing myself bit by bit, and I had to get my strength back. So what I did is I put distance between me and him for a while I was grieving. I left the country. I went to visit a family member of mine where I got my strength back. I got Rania back. I got Rania back. And when I came back, I had a plan. And my plan was to get out. Get out and never look back. And rebuild my life from zero. And when I say zero, I mean it. Financially, I was almost at zero. I had nothing. I had no job. But I had this practice for me to grow with and to let it take me wherever it's going to take me. Mm-hmm. And believe me, I struggled a lot after that too, after the separation and getting myself back together. I put all my focus in building my coaching practice and educating myself. I was taking courses and I was improving my skills and I was just finding ways to bring myself an income. And I had to rebuild myself really from zero. But I had my family's support and I'm grateful for that. My family stood by me in one of the toughest periods of my time. Some friends really stood by me like you have no idea. You know, the friends that you call their family, they're not blood related, but they stand by you and they support you. I am so blessed and so lucky that I have quite a few of those in my life. And they truly stood by me and encouraged me and listened to me. But I had the work to do on me now. I had to unpack all of this. I had to confront myself with my decisions, with my choices, with my patterns, why I allowed it to come to this point, why I allowed myself to be here and repeat. What was it in me that needed to be healed? So I had to do the work, and it was ugly. It was nasty. Oh, the amount of tears I cried. Oh, the amount of weight I lost. And I was never big anyways. I was always an average person, you know, but I lost even more weight. That I was so sad about. I was like, oh my God, look at me. I'm so skinny now. I want some meat on me again. So, yeah. But overall, I would say everything that I've been throughout my life prepared me for this. My education, my experiences in life, my past relationships, the challenges I had with my family, everything was all put together. And it was like, okay, where do you go from here now, Rania? What do you do with this? You have two choices: crawl under a rock and cry and be finished, or get back up. And while you're getting back up, help others along the way, because there's others out there who are like me, need that help, need someone to listen to, need someone to understand them and not make them feel guilty or question them and say, how come you didn't see this clearly? You're a smart woman. Nobody needs to be questioned about the decisions that they made. We make decisions. We all make choices. What do we do from this point here is the question that we need to ask. Not why I did it. Like, if you want to ask why you did it, is to understand yourself. It's the self-discovery process, right? It's the peeling off the layers in order to heal yourself from whatever traumas that you're not even aware of. But the questions to be asked is, where do I go from here? How do I rebuild? What is step number one? So for me, you asked me before we went on break, is like, what made me get to the point to leave and do all of that, which number one, I had to make a decision, decide. That's number one, is to decide, because no one can do that for you. You need to decide that enough is enough. That's what I did for myself. Enough is enough. I deserve better than this.
Mm-hmm.
It is not too late. I can rebuild. I made all those decisions. And after I made the decisions, I had to take actions.
Mm-hmm.
Actions is what was necessary. Is no more sitting and crying and talking about it and saying, oh my God, you know, that's not going to solve anything.
Right.
You decide, you take action. What is the action? You put it down for you. 1, 2, 3, 4. Everyone has their own actions that they need to take to appropriate to them. I did mine. Every woman out there who's in this situation needs to be doing the same. First, decide, then take action. And then put a timeline to what you're doing. I did that. I put a timeline to when this will all end. And roughly, I stuck to that deadline.
Mm-hmm.
I did it. I decided. I started taking action. I put a plan in place. And one very important one, ask for help.
Yes.
I asked for help from people in my life that I knew I can count on and trust. And they were there for me.
Yeah.
They were there for me. But I had to first ask for it. If you don't ask, you don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? It's okay if some people tell you, sorry, I don't really want to get involved. That's okay. Don't get upset with people. Will only do what they can do for you. It doesn't mean they don't love you. Doesn't mean that they don't wish the best for you. But where they are, they cannot get involved, whatever it was. Don't be upset with them.
Right.
But whoever can, and take it. Take the help. Don't say, no, I should be able to do this by myself. I got myself into this mess alone. I need to be getting out of it alone. No. You should not putting that heavy weight on your shoulder. You're dealing with something big. And when you are, you need to ask for help. There is nothing wrong in asking for help.
Right.
And you will find. Seek and ye shall find, right? The Bible says.
Absolutely. And that's one point that you made there about the people to support you. A lot of times women suffer in silence, suffer because of, as we spoke earlier, about the shame or the guilt. And why did I do that? And even with self, I should know better. I saw the signs. Why did I let myself get in this situation? And because of all that guilt and shame, I can't tell anyone, because then they'll judge me and I'll look bad and no one will understand. And one of the reasons that I started this show was to help support women in knowing they're not alone. You're not an individual. Your experience, yes, it's unique to you because each, as you said earlier, everyone is unique and have their own unique experience. However, in that uniqueness, there are still similarities. There are still threads that are similar that draw us all together. And when we come together and share our stories, we open up a door of opportunity for others to say, okay, she hears me, she sees me, she's done it. Because with Rania, what you just shared is that you were able to start over from zero. You rebuilt from zero. And that takes a lot of courage to walk into the level of fear that you must have been experiencing in the midst of all that, and to say, I am worth it to do this, and to trust and give yourself the opportunity. So what would you say to a woman right now who's in a situation that she doesn't think that she has the strength or the power to change her circumstance?
Unfortunately, Trina, the traumas that we end up living debilitate us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we find ourselves stuck. That's the word, stuck. We're always so stuck, like you feel like you can't get out of whatever it is you're in. It's easy for me to sit here and tell every woman out there who's dealing through this, you are worth it. Believe in yourself. You can do it. I can say all the motivational and inspirational things that I can say, but if she doesn't believe it, if she doesn't feel it in her bones, she will not take action. She will hear me and she'll be like, yeah, she's right. But no follow up. So my advice to every woman out there that is feeling weak, that is feeling down, that is feeling stuck in a toxic relationship or whatever other dynamic that you may be in, work on yourself so you could build that self-worth. And when you start to do that, your thought process will change, your feelings are going to change, and the actions will also change as a result of all those things changing. But it all starts within you. And how can you do that? Very simple. Say some affirmations every day. And that's what helped me. And because of that, I've built a product line now where I am making affirmation posters and coasters for women so that they can have it to see in front of them every day to remind them of who they are and whatever theme that they wish. Whether it be you don't think you're going to be successful, or that you need to be reminded that you're going to have a good love in your life and good relationships, or about self-confidence and all of that, especially to mothers who feel that they are not enough, that no matter what they do is not enough, or that they failed. Having an affirmation there that you are seeing it every day on a poster, on the wall, or a coaster, whatever it may be, saying, I am enough. I am loved. I am confident. I am smart. These mantras or affirmations, they may seem silly at first, and you may not even believe it when you're saying it, but that's okay. Because it takes practice for you to believe it, because you are that. It's just that life and the people around you and the experiences that you've been through made you think that you're not. But deep down, you are all those things. Even if you're reading them and saying, am I? I'm smart. Am I? I'm valued. Am I? Yeah, you're second guessing yourself in the moment you're saying it, because you have been taught otherwise. Or you've been conditioned to believe otherwise. Or you've been treated by someone in the exact opposite of it, of that made you feel that you are not. So when we make practices in our life to help us build our self-confidence, uncover our self-worth, because you're not going to find your self-worth, you're uncovering it because it's within you anyway. Choosing to be happy no matter what situation you are in. You know, that's a tough one, because we're always thinking that we're going to be happy when we're going to be happy when all of this is not there anymore, or when the situation changes. So if you're coming from a place of being miserable and sad and upset, your emotions or your feelings are affecting your reality. Your thoughts are affecting your reality, and your emotions and your current state is affecting your reality. Change that, and your reality will change. Not by some miracle, but because you're doing the work yourself.
Absolutely. It's really about that internal work. I hear you talking about. We spend a lot of time looking at our external environments and wanting to change them, but the power exists within us to do that internal work, to, like you say, heal the trauma, heal the thought processes, the conditioning that we've experienced in life, to do that work. And I love your affirmations and what you've created, because it helps to change the mind pattern, because our voice, what we say to ourselves, is a self-fulfilling prophecy. So when we begin to say things, whether we even, like you say, in the midst of believing it yet, you just keep saying, and you keep saying it, and you keep building, and you keep doing that work. On the inside of you, the power, like you said, already exists there. It's in you to be ignited so that you can go forward and do as you've done, is rebuild, as you say, from zero. And there's some people or in circumstances that they might not have to rebuild from zero. That was your story. And like you say, everybody's story is unique, and your rebuild, another person's rebuild could be changing careers. It could be, the toxic relationship at work. with the boss or the coworker, or it could be in your personal romantic life, or it could be with family members. Still, nonetheless, some of that, when you make the courageous choice to stand up for yourself after you've done the work, to have the confidence to stand up and use your voice and create boundaries, some of those relationships are naturally going to fall away, and there sometimes going to be changes that you rebuild. You rebuild relationships, or you rebuild careers, or there's so many opportunities for rebuilding once you've done the internal rebuild, because we come into this earth with all that we need, and then piece by piece it's torn down, taken away, taken away. So the first rebuild is the internal rebuild, is what I'm hearing you did in order for you to get to the point to make some courageous decisions in your personal life, to then rebuild from an external, the work that you're doing, the life, providing for yourself and all of that. So I congratulate you for the courage that you have exhibited in the story of your life that you have experienced. And I celebrate you for your vulnerability, for sharing your story with our audience today. It's just so powerful. And I want our audience to know how powerful they are. So I'm going to take a quick little break before we sign off. And I want to share something with the audience, and then we'll come back and close, because I have a few questions I'd like to ask you as we close out. Is that okay?
Of course.
All right. We'll be right back. I wanted to share with you all this 6 steps to unbounded power, just as Rania has shared with us today, around the ability to step into your personal power, step into your ability to courageously move forward in the things that are important to you. I just want to get this tool, this workbook over to you. It's called 6 Steps to Unbounded Power, where you get to look inside and see what are the limitations that's going on. What are the things that are holding you back? What changes can you make in your life? How do you take the steps that are necessary for you to change your current circumstance? So it's a QR code here. You can just take your phone, use the QR code. All that's required is for you to put your email in, and we will send over this workbook for you so that you can start doing that internal work that Rania has been so beautifully sharing with you. So go in, use the QR code, get your workbook, and we're going to go back to Rania and close out today, because we're having a great conversation with her. There we go. Have a little technical difficulty. Sorry about that.
Oh, good.
Okay, so I want to just throw out a few questions for you as we're closing, because one of the things about courage, and it's a muscle, I think, that we get to build in different areas. That's my belief. So, what are some things you've done that have been courageous or adventurous in your life that might surprise us?
Well, for someone to be surprised, you'd have to know me first and know how out of character it is. So if you've known me, if for the people that do know me, I'm very particular about what I eat. Very. Some of it is I have some allergies and stuff like that I have to be worried, like be careful about. But I was not very adventurous in trying different cultures' foods. But being in this flight attendant job put me in a situation where I was traveling in different places and I'd have to eat. So what are you gonna eat? Um, Believe it or not, I ate food that's cooked on the street. I did that, and that's like, oh my god! I remember one family member is like, "What, Rania? You're eating What happened to you? Who are you? We don't know you. You're the same person that sits at our table, says, no, I don't want this and I don't want this. Oh, okay, now you're eating from there? Okay, when you come over next time, you better not say anything.
And that's beautiful because I don't, you know, and I've shared on social media that I've just come back from a European Moroccan trip, and
Yes.
a lot of that being in different cultures, trying different things, is can make you uncomfortable because it's
Mm,
unfamiliar. And then when you do it, it builds the muscle that the next time there's the uncomfortable, the unfamiliar in other areas of your life, you kind of already built the muscle a little bit. So that's why I wanted to ask that question, because I want our
yeah.
audience to know that you don't have to take the one big step. You can do some
Mhm.
small things along the way that will give you the opportunity to practice courage or be adventurous and do different
Yeah.
things. I mean, it can be so much fun because it loosens you up and gives you some flexibility in life. So what would be what has been, we talked about relationships, and I know how much you found support in your relationships through this process. What would you say has been the most influential and supportive relationship that has supported you through your life or through this particular change that you just through the rebuild?
So we're talking like my friendships.
Yes, relationships,
Mm,
partnerships, coaches, family, anything, any relationships that you'd like to share were important to you.
well, I've been on a spiritual journey for a long time, and I've been seeking spiritual teachers. So I mean, I have several, but like one of my main one is the late Dr. Wayne Dyer, if you've ever heard of him.
Mhm, mhm,
He's been my all-time teacher, and I'd like to share a quote from him, if
please.
that's okay, that
Mhm.
have actually influenced me. He says, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change.
Mhm.
And that is so powerful. It is that statement that got me through a lot of what I went through, like let's just say in the last 10 to 15 years of my life. That statement right there, it always keeps coming back. And then there is the great Louise Hay, if anyone knows about Louise Hay, and she has the Hay House Publishing.
Mhm.
And I'd love for one day my book to be published in Hay
Mhm.
House. That's my dream. Um, she says a very simple statement: you can heal your life.
Mm.
You can heal your life, and you can. You just have to do the work. One of her books, and that I love so much, that has helped me, is Mirror Work, where,
Mm.
just briefly to say, you would stand in front of the mirror every day and you would look at yourself and say, I love you. When you start to love yourself truly, but as you doing that work every day, something is going to come up. You're not going to be able to look, or you're going to say, no, I don't know, what are you talking about? Or you're going to start looking at the pimple in your face. What do you mean? Like, look at that pimple, or look at this, crease over here. So when you start to love yourself as you are, and of course there's a lot more work to be done in that, but when you love yourself, then you get to know your self-worth. You
Mhm.
truly believe it in you. You heal the inner child in you. Like, you go back to that 5-year old that was sitting crying, felt whatever it is that felt at that moment, and you give her a hug and you tell her, I'm here for you. You're not alone. You're healing that 5-year old in you. And then come back here to you being the adult and know that you're okay. You're
Mhm.
loved, right? So yeah, I mean, Dr. Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay, there's many more people that I listen to podcast, watch webinars, read books. That's what has helped me a lot, is me seeking out knowledge and to transform from within. So it's not just that I hear these things and I read them, I apply them and
Mhm.
I write about them and I use them in my work. But as far as relationships, I would say I have I'm so blessed to say I have more than one best friend. I
Mhm.
I do. I'm so lucky. And most of those relationships are, we're talking 15 years. That's a long time, maybe some more. But yeah, my best friends here in Canada, and my best friends from all over the world now, because now that I did this job, I met so many people from different places. And after we all left the job, each one of us went her way. So I don't see them. I don't spend time with them physically. You know, we talk, we chat, we get to do some Zoom calls from time to time. But the bond and the connection is there. And when I need them, they're there.
Right.
They're always there. Even if just to listen. They may not have something to tell me to say, okay, well, I don't know how to fix your problem, Rania, but like just being there, listening to me and say, I feel you.
Yeah.
I hear you. I'm sending you a virtual hug from far away. And you know what? I feel it.
Yeah.
I feel the love. I feel the hug. I know I am loved, and I know I'm supported, and I know and I'm guided, and I know God is watching out for me, and I know my grandmother now from the other side is watching out for me. I am so blessed. I am truly so blessed. And I am not allowing whatever story that happened to me to define me or to make me out to be someone I'm not meant to be. I am standing in my power. I am only moving ahead from this point on. Not let it.
Right. Yeah. That's powerful. Becoming learning to love yourself is really powerful. And once you love yourself, then you know what love feels like, and you know how to attract it to yourself and how to repel kinds of relationships that don't fill that place in you that is love and fills you. And so you're really blessed as well to have the relationships to have supported you through that. And some people don't necessarily have all those relationships, but they're not alone. And that's the important thing, that we're here today to let you know you're not alone. We're all here for you. And, would love for you to reach out to Rania if you, she's at R2R Coaching, if there's something that she said today that would benefit you. And as well, you're always welcome to reach out to me at Unbounded with Trina. Rania, thank you so much for joining me today. I know that the audience, those who are getting the opportunity to hear you, to hear your story, are going to be inspired, to be encouraged, and that the fire within them would be ignited so that they would begin to take some of the bold steps, the one step, the next step. Don't look at the mountain, just look at the next step and do the internal work, because you're worthy of doing that internal work. And so, again, thank you so much. Is there anything, one closing comment you'd like to make as we close out our time today?
I'm in gratitude for you, Trina. This is what I'd like to say, that I'm in gratitude because you allowed me this opportunity to be on your show, to speak up, and for us to have this amazing discussion that I had no idea what we were going to talk about, other than me sharing some part of my story. But I loved it. I loved every minute of it. And I hope that whatever we say here today helps one person out there. Just
Right.
one.
Just
If it helps more, then that's great. But if just one person listens to this message and starts to feel different and their life changes as a result, then I would feel that you and I have done something amazing today.
exactly. Absolutely. And thank you for showing up and being available. And it was my honor to have you. So I'm going to close out, but I ask you to stand by with me for a few more minutes.
Sure.
And I'll be right back. Okay.
Of course. Thank you, Trina.
Last thing I want to let you all know, next week to please tune in on March 20th, right back here at 12 p.m. I'll have my guest, Lizeth Felix, and she will talk about the 4 pillars to taking control of your life. So look for that to be on next Wednesday. Join us back here. And then I'll have a special little bonus show for you on Friday, 2 days from now. So I'll create a little recording and have that out for you on Friday. So stay tuned for that, 12 o'clock Friday. And then next Wednesday, March 20th, join me for Lizeth Felix. And with that, we are out and we'll see you soon. Be blessed.